Or is it? And we are live. Hi, everyone. Buenas noches. Welcome to another episode of Moms for Trans Kids podcast. My name is Dr. Lulu, your hostess with the mostest. What's going on, sisters? Hello there, Kimmie. Hi, Vickie.
Hello.
What's going
Happy to
on? Okay,
be
so
here.
before we came on live, y'all don't know this, but backstage, we were talking about it's a mom show. So the doorbell might ring, a kid might come running across the stage. Who knows?
Right.
We're just going to roll with it because it's what moms do. So, welcome to Moms for Trans Kids podcast. You can see I'm happy. Okay. Parents of trans kids are happy. Okay. I just wanted to just say that. All right. So, I'm going to start with on my right hand side, I've got a beautiful Kimmie, and then below me, but not I don't know how to say it, is Vickie. So Kim is going to do a quick intro as we always do, and then followed by Vickie. We're just going alphabetical. And then, of course, we'll start the show. So I am Dr. Lulu. I'm a pediatrician, retired. Or am I? I'm also a life coach. I work specifically with parents of queer kids, helping them accept themselves as they affirm. What? Affirm their queer kiddos at home. And then I'm a consultant and I help advocate for parents of queer kids at the workplace because you know what? Somebody has to. All right, Kimmie, go.
Well, I'm Kimmie, Kim Dory. Only Dr. Lulu gets to call me Kimmie, though. And basically, I'm a good friend of Dr. Lulu. I think we go way back to like maybe a few years now, right? And basically, I met her through writing my book and needing a coach. And she was referred to me by my beautiful cousin Judy, and we've connected ever since. We've got a passion, we've got a mission and a word to deliver. So I'm happy to be here. I'm a mom, full-time single mom, raising two sons. My oldest is on his own. He's 22, just turned 22 this August. And my youngest is 16. And they both happen to be transgender.
They both happen to be transgender. Kim never misses a beat. She always says they just happen to be transgender because they are people first, right? But wait, Vickie, did you just hear Kim say I'm her sister? Oh, wait, I'm her friend. Vickie, fix that. Make that go away.
I did. I think you're a sister, yeah? It's the sisterhood, correct? Yes.
It is a sister. Vickie, it is a sisterhood.
Vickie, you're frozen. Can you hear us?
Vickie, maybe try logging out and coming back in.
Yes. If you can hear us, you want to log out and come back in.
Something's wrong with the internet.
Oh, the internet. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the show is live.
17-year-old. Will, are you doing something with the internet? Okay. Can you check it? Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, not you. I'm asking Dr. Lulu. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and you're frozen. And
is it okay?
All of the stuff. I should take a screenshot so I can show you. Oh my God! So welcome to Moms for Trans Kids podcast. We can hear you, but if you want to go out and come back in, that might help a little bit. I don't know. We're guessing. You want to try that, Mama?
Hello. I don't know. It's like frozen.
Yeah. Okay, so the show must go on. We're thinking Vickie will probably leave.
I have to go through Google Chrome, and I have to go. I'll.
Oh yeah, she's gone.
There we go.
All right, so the show is called Moms for Trans Kids podcast, not by accident. One of the things I said in my intro, my brief intro was, I help parents accept themselves as they affirm their kids. So we're going to talk about the word affirmation. But first, let's talk about why Kim is here on a beautiful Sunday when she could be doing anything at all. So Kim, why is you here on a beautiful Sunday?
Well, this is a great topic. I think affirming our kiddos, affirming ourselves first is so important. And I don't think that we can make a whole lot of progress if we don't start there. So it's the first step. It's the first step in a beautiful journey. I'm living proof, I think. And I can talk a little bit about that too.
Yes. And so the question then is, what does the word affirmation mean? And, you know, I never thought, I don't know, this will ever, like, I guess, come up. But I had a post on social media and I had a mom who was like, well, what does affirm mean? I was like, wait, what? And it's true. You know, we all assume that everybody, as we use certain words, welcome back, Mama Sita.
I had my 17-year-old come down and help. I was on the wrong Wi-Fi.
Okay.
These things happen. Well, welcome. Yep. So we're going to go back a little bit and just a little bit. So Vickie, tell us who you are and why you decided to come on this show on a beautiful Sunday when you could be driving on the highway from somewhere in North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Vickie Fowler. I'm a family medicine physician in North Carolina, and I live in Raleigh. And I am on this podcast with Dr. Lulu and Kim because a few weeks ago I came on and just listened, and everything that was being discussed between Kim and Dr. Lulu just resonated with my heart and soul as a family medicine physician, as a mother, and as a mother of a transgender daughter who is an adult. And it's just been such an incredible journey for me, my family, a journey within my workplace, as we're talking about, affirming people in their workplace, and a journey for me to learn how to affirm all of my children instead of what I think they are, what they actually know they are. And so I'm just thrilled to be here. And I'm glad not to be on the interstate. I just rolled in from Hickory, North Carolina to Raleigh and just had some technical difficulties getting on. So here I am. Happy Labor Day.
Yes. Welcome. So exciting. I love that you mentioned the word journey, I don't know, 4 times. Kim also mentioned the word journey. So Kim, we're just going to go back to Kim really quickly. Kim was talking about how affirming is like the first step. Affirming yourself and then, of course, affirming your kid. So, but Kim, did you hear how Vickie kept talking about journey? Where did your journey to Mama Bear Dumb, where did it begin for you, Kim?
For me, well, I think affirming myself, I think it was important. And I was fortunate enough to be raised in an affirming household. For many things, you know, I felt that I had a safe environment growing up, that I could be whoever I thought I was truly and genuinely inside and still be loved. I think, you know, so in a lot of ways, affirmation to me means, you know, unconditional love, and not just in the sense of talking. I mean, in showing and supporting and learning about who this beautiful individual is that you brought into the world. So, you know, so it starts way back. And Dr. Lulu, I don't know if you want me to tell you a little story.
I know.
I'm waiting until you.
That story knocked me out today when you went there. I was like, oh my goodness, that is perfect. I was like, I hope you tell it tonight. Y'all be ready. But Kimmie, before you go to the story, I want to just kind of say a few words. Vickie said, affirm all my children. I want us to come back to that later on, because one of the things I mentioned is when you're a parent of a trans child, it can potentially be overwhelming and take over. And then you not forget intentionally, but you don't remember that you have other children who are maybe not necessarily trans. And I think over the weekend or a few days ago, my youngest got drafted for the college volleyball. And for a moment, I remembered, I said, yes, I have other children, and you have to kind of spend enough time. So I just wanted to give Vickie flowers for going there and talking about the fact that you got to affirm all your children, not just the one. And how, for me, the word affirmation never came out to me ever. I never thought about it. I heard about it, but I never used it until my trans child. So I wanted to talk about that later on. But also, Kim telling us that for her, affirmation is 4 things, beginning from an affirming household. Okay, starting from home. Charity begins at home. But also, the quartet for her is unconditional love, showing up, supporting, and learning. Vickie, what are your thoughts about those 5 points that Kimmie mentioned?
Well, I think for me, no, I love what you said, Kim, about growing up in a home where you knew you had unconditional love and you could be whatever you wanted to be. And ironically, even though I came from a very rural background in the Appalachia, in my home, I always felt like I could be anything I wanted to be. So that was interesting when you said that. That kind of resonated with me a bit. And so, interestingly, to just kind of be able to give that gift to your children, I think it is important. So you came from that and the unconditional love and showing up. But the last thing you said, which in addition to showing up, what was the 4th one? The 4th one was
the 4 things are unconditional love, showing up, supporting, and then learning.
So supporting, showing up and supporting were never a problem for me. Learning from my children was a huge switch for me. I don't know about you, Dr. Lulu, but I, as a physician, we're sort of taught that we're the teacher. Like, you get this thing where you're constantly explaining things to patients. So a lot of times I never could turn that off when I got home. And my kids will tell you today, I still struggle with that. Turning off that, oh, let me explain this to you. And when I started learning from my children, that's when my eyes were opened, really open to so many things which I never saw and didn't know existed.
I love it. I love it so much because for me, and I know Vickie, you talked about this a couple of times, my 3rd TED Talk that actually, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was my best performance, but the message was that children are teachers, that we meet them as strangers. We meet a newborn baby and it's a stranger. And we need to learn about that baby. But somehow we've got the parenting upside down and we think, oh, we already know the baby. Who told you that? Who told you that? And that's why I mentioned on my social media, I said, I know parents, I know y'all think you can control your kids, but if you really can, show me with your toddler, right? Because you can't. Like, this is a human being that has their own agenda. You got to learn. So learning, supporting, showing up, unconditional love. It sounds to me like there's a lot of vulnerability that is needed in parenting then. What do you think? Oh,
I knew she was going to make an appearance. It was only a matter of time.
Oh, she's great.
I know.
Y'all, this dog has her own social media platform. Is it a male or female? I said her. I don't know.
Female.
Female. Oh my God. So I guess her pronoun is she, her. Yeah.
This is Harper.
Hi there.
Hi, Harper.
What's her name?
Harper Pickles.
Yes. I mean, I knew that. I didn't want to say it. Hi.
Yeah.
So it's a parent show. So yes, our pets will show up from time to time because they're family, and that's okay also. I am just so intrigued with this. So Vickie, it almost sounds like you also have a story. For me, I did not grow up in an affirming household where gender non-binariness was necessarily welcome. I grew up in a country which is very, very patriarchal, lots of misogynistic rules and laws, our customs, our cultures, everything is gendered, even as my own language has no pronouns for male or female, which is one of the things I talk about, how I explained it to my dad. I said, we don't have male or female in our language. So the old grandparents, great-grandparents, they probably were not practicing with all this gendering. And yet here we are today. So I didn't grow up in a home that was necessarily unsupportive. But when it came to gender roles, especially, women are to be seen and not heard. our most recent president actually made a big announcement when he said, oh, his wife is in the other room. In other words, she's not supposed. What do you mean you're asking me for where my wife is? She is in the other room, which means she should be away from the spotlight, kind of thing. And that is still very common in my country. So I can't sit here and tell you that I grew up in a house where I was affirmed as far as learning about other things. And I've come to now forgive my parents because honestly, that's what they knew. They didn't know anything different. But Kim didn't have that experience. Kim found out, was it last night, Kim?
Yes, and it was very random. You know, I had been dog sitting for my sister, and my mom came over to help out because, of course, my youngest is sick, and I was juggling that with plumbing issues. You know, doing the mom thing, and so, you know, trying to be in 3 places at once. Like, who do you call? Well, my mom. So, you know, I mean, everybody knows mom's got, you know, they can fix it. So she came over and watched the dogs, and eventually I got back to her, and we started talking, and I was talking to her about the podcast that Matt and I did, and she wanted to see it. So I played it for her, and you know, she was just so proud, and she kept saying how proud she was of Matt, and she kept giving me like all the credit, like, you did this, you raised this beautiful human, look at what you did, you know, kind of holding me up there. And I was like, well, I learned it from you. And we started talking a little bit, and you know, the subject changed from transgenderness to like when I was a sassy 15 or 16-year-old, and you know, just out of curiosity and you know, sassiness, I came up to her and said, you know, what would you do if I said I was pregnant? You know, and she's like, well, let's talk about it. And she had a long pause, and she said, you know, if you came to me and told me you were pregnant, know that my love for you will never change. She said, I took notes because I had to do it while I was fresh in my head. But she said, you know, she wouldn't be disappointed in me. She would be sad for my situation, but she would be there to support me, to love me, to care for the baby as much as she could. And that baby would have a home. And I was floored because in my undeveloped 15 or 16-year-old brain, I was expecting, you know, at a minimum, you're grounded. I'm, you know, taking privileges away. You're in trouble. You know, I'm disappointed in you. That just kills me, you know, to disappoint my parents. That was my big thing. So, you know, to know that, like, even if that happened, she would still be there for me. And that's when I learned about, you know, not so much affirmation at the time, but more unconditional love. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, where did that come from? And she said, you know, honestly, I had the same exact conversation with my mom, my grandmother. She said you know, this was obviously way before I was even a thought, but she had the conversation with my grandma and sat down, and she said, you know, if you ever got pregnant, I would be here. We would take care of the baby. I would love you unconditionally. The whole 9 yards. I mean, the whole spiel. But that topic came up because the neighbor, you know, the girl that was my mom's age got pregnant. She had an abortion, and it was not a good one. You know, it was back in the day where it was kind of under the table kind of thing. And she had a lot of complications with it. And so after that, you know, it really just instilled, you know, that I'm going to love you for who you are, which is affirming, right? It's affirming for you to hear that, to say, you know, she's going to be there for me regardless, and she's going to be on my side, and no matter what happens.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
So, you know what, your mom and your grandmother, it wasn't about them. It was about how they could be there for you. And as I'm sitting here, the point is in rural, wherever, North Carolina, I mean, the concern would so much be, what would the neighbors think? Or what would people think? And so I'm sitting here, it's the same thing now. If your child is trans, your child is different. If you make it about yourself, oh, what will someone say? Oh, someone will judge me as a parent. So I find that amazing, Kim. Not only that your mother was able to be supportive and not worry, oh, what are people going to think? But she was able to do that because many years earlier, in a time where there would be a lot of talk, her mother was able to remove herself from that. And so I think with affirming our children, you've said it, Dr. Lulu, it's not about us. We've got to quit thinking of, what does this mean about me? You know, it's not about me, by the way. And
yes.
it's not about us.
It's not about us. So powerful. I mean, as Kim was talking, I said, oh, wait. And we never even I had planned to read up the definition of affirmation. I had planned to, but I didn't. But I was like, well, as Kim was speaking, I was like, that's exactly what the Webster Dictionary said. Affirmation is emotional support or encouragement. That's one definition. The other definition that I really prefer is the act of affirming or the state of being affirmed. Now, unfortunately, they're using the word affirmation in the definition of affirm, but that's the first definition. The second definition is accepting as true, supporting, upholding, uplifting, claiming that they're looking at veracity, which means all of those things are truth. Having faith even is a part of affirmation. Believing somebody that they are who they say they are. Not, but.
Are you sure?
Yeah, are you sure? Which is what I said.
You sure?
And that's how the word came up for me, because like he was like, Mom, you were not affirming. And I was like, what is that? I want us to talk about affirming because enough people talk about accepting. And while there's nothing wrong with accepting, I'm going to go to Vickie. Vickie, what do you think is a difference, if any, between acceptance and affirming? Is one better necessarily than the other? Does one have more juice than the other? What are your thoughts? And why is affirmation the word out there? And then let me pull up another definition. But go ahead.
I think to me, acceptance is more of a passive role. If you're accepting, you're there and you are accepting. Okay, I accept that. But affirmation is supporting and uplifting. I love the fact that you brought that up, uplifting. And it's so much more of an active. To me, affirmation is active and accepting is passive.
I love it. I want to say welcome to Dr. Royan Patrick. Sis, I see you. Oh, she just, look at that. So Dr. Royan is a psychologist. Dr. Ro is a psychologist. So it makes sense. She's like, acceptance is more passive right there. Yes, snaps for that. Dr. Ro, you're coming on this show because you have something to say. You have something to say. I'm an amazing psychologist. But look at the definition, that the best definition is a statement or proposition that is declared as true. I think what I really want people to know is when it comes to affirmation, you are saying that it is true what your child is saying. You believe them. You're not saying, are you sure? Because are you sure is like, wait, there's doubt, right? So you're right about saying, are you sure? Well, there's doubt. And then also, another way to not affirm is to say, well, okay, like I did. Okay, so just don't do that when grandma is here, which is what I said. So just don't paint your nails when grandma is here. Like, I know, you want to paint your nails, but just don't. And at that moment, I was thinking about myself. So Kim, based on the story that you told us, I know you already know this, but how then do you feel like this whole, because for those who don't know, Kim's house is almost like a safe haven, if I may use that word, for queer kids. Like
anybody's welcome. I got a flag up front that says it. Everybody's welcome. And sometimes kids need that, especially kids that don't have accepting or affirming household to be in. Sometimes they need a break. And, I think, having that place where, they can use the kitchen, they can bake some stuff, they can, go for walks, take the dog for a walk, whatever, they have things that they can do together and bond in a safe environment. I feed people. That's, if you're here, you're not going to leave hungry. So, trying to make it a welcoming place, I think is important. But, I think it's more sad that, sometimes, you run across kids that maybe they're trying to escape a little bit. And I think that, if parents only knew, and parents don't know what they don't know. And that's why affirming and learning, to me, I mean, they're together. They belong together. You have to learn about, if I'm like, if somebody told me I have this disease that's called, I don't know, whatever, I would be like, what is it? I would be asking questions. I would be going, not, are you sure?
Are you sure?
I would be saying, what is it? What does it do? How does this affect you? Is there anything I can do to help?
Yes.
Oh, Kim, that was what I was going to say. And is there anything I can do?
You. And that's where the compassion comes in. For those who do not know, I say this all the time. Brene Brown is known for Miss Empathy, but I am Dr. Compassion, because I know that compassion is empathy plus how can I help? If you don't want to know how, if I can't ask you how I can help, it's just like, oh yeah, I see you, Vickie. Yeah, you've got blonde hair. Mm-hmm. All right, Vickie with the blonde hair, right? Versus, oh, Vickie, you've got blonde hair. My goodness, how can I help? What can I do to help? That is critical.
Yeah,
as you said, because that's why Kim is like, you want to eat rice, chicken, whatever. You want to cook. You want to walk the dog. You want to go to the sunflower fields. What do you want to do? How can I make your life easier? These kids are not jumping to their deaths because life is okay. Mm-hmm. They are not jumping to their deaths because everything is okay. It's because it's not okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So being able to be that one, I love that hashtag be the one for being able to be that one, which is what Kim is, which is what Vickie is at work, which is what Dr. Rowe is at school, which is what gender diversity just joined. I love that. Anything I can do to help. Yes. So by the way, gender diversity training is going to be on the show next week. Yes. So I think her name is Amy. I think it's Amy, but I don't want to say the wrong name. Please introduce yourself. I know you've got gender diversity training, but is it Amy? So I can say Amy. But this is all she does. She has a beautiful blog where she talks about gender, and then she trains people on gender diversity, which is what we just find ourselves kind of falling into, this need to educate, which is where the learning part comes in. Once you have a child who is gender diverse, you cannot help. You just cannot hide. It's like you have been tagged to do this work.
Right.
And so,
well, and it's not there as a physician. What I would say, and as a mom who went with my child to the doctor, it's not their responsibility to educate their providers. It should not be the adolescent's job to explain to the doctor any of this. And that's why we have to make sure that the teachers and the pastors and the physicians and the people that are there, as you mentioned, Dr. Lulu, who are the 5 people, the parents, the pastors, the what was it? The
5 P's. Oh yeah, the person, their parents, their pastors, their physicians, their psychologists.
Yeah.
And that's 5. But actually, I had 7. I said the 5 adults. The 5 adults are the whatever, and then but it's actually, I came up with 7. One of the P's is their peers. Right?
So I think we need to all become educated, so it's not on them to educate us. And the other thing, sometimes they're just trans, but they're there for something else. And I think
You're gonna kill me now. Exactly. Every time the
they're
child comes to the
there.
clinic, yeah.
Not their transness.
God.
They have a rash. Their elbow hurts.
Yeah.
Or they're a kid who's at school and needs help with the subject. They just happen to be trans. And I
They
think
just happen to be trans. That's the tagline. They just happen to be trans.
I'm a mom of 2 boys, and they happen to be trans. I think that's key. And people should be allowed to be their authentic self, but to, have all the same attention and freedoms and as everyone else, and not have to explain themselves, because that's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It's exhausting. I want to talk about this. When the child goes to the doctor, it's almost like your child is okay, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it, and it may hurt a little bit, but I want to say it. My child is not a phenomenon. This is not a please believe it or not. People want to come and see the trans kid. They're here. And I say this because when I was younger, my dad, when he was training in Germany, my dad is an aeronautic engineer. When he was training in Germany on the planes, I remember him coming one time and saying, "Oh, that I will not believe that one of the people was a he, she." That everybody was like, "Oh my God, there's a he, she." There was a he, she, and now I realize that's what the person was. Probably trans, maybe even transvestite. Who knows? I mean, we can have an episode about just all these little words, right? I don't know the person, but I know that the person was probably gender not quite binary.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, "Oh my God!" Everybody was like, "Oh, there's a he, she, there's a he, she." And we were intrigued with the story, but now I have one of them is my kid.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to take a moment and say welcome to Dr. Rowe, Liz, Abby. Thank you for saying your name. And if any of you have anything you want to contribute to the show, please let us know. This is an open forum. We come and talk about this stuff because that's what's on our minds, but it's not limited to that. If you have any questions, Dr. Rowe, I don't know what you said yes to at one point. And Liz is joining us from Facebook, which is amazing. Hi, Liz. Liz is a mama bear. Ooh, I think Liz has got 2 queer kiddos. And now I don't want to say anything else because I'm not doing very well remembering people today. But Liz, let me know if I'm right or wrong. And then we'll come back to Kim. So Kim, talking again about affirmation, how did you, Kim, as an adult now, having not one, but 2 gender diverse kids, how did you know to just automatically be affirming? Were you automatically just affirming? Was there like a journey? For those who don't know, I had a big journey, so I'll come back to mine last. But Kimmie, how did you, or was it this epiphany you had yesterday about, wow, you've always been like affirmed at home? How did that play into when your kids started telling you that they're trans?
Well, I think, when my oldest came to me, I mean, that's when I was really naive. I didn't know enough about, any non-conforming gender labels. I didn't know there was such a thing, really. I mean, I went to, I met a few in college, but and it wasn't a big deal to me. I mean, they were, I just learned about it a little bit. But when your kid comes to you and says, "I think I am transgender," I immediately went back to, well, he was always a tomboy. But then I think, well, so was I. And I had questions, right? And I think it just opened up some dialogue that I had to research. So I just researched everything that there was about it because I didn't know enough. And I probably asked maybe not the greatest questions. Are you sure? Is this something that you think you'll grow out of? Those are not great questions, not real proud of them. I didn't do that with the second one. I try to learn, but I think we all fumble as we go but I think the one thing that I know my kids appreciate is the fact that I tried. I think, showing the effort, showing the interest in learning about it, learning what the journey looks like, and knowing that the journey doesn't look the same for everybody. I mean, but it was stuff that I had to research, because I really didn't know anything about it. Now, like I said, with my second one, obviously, a few years, several years later, I knew the right questions to ask, but I still didn't, I still didn't think, I think, Dr. Lulu, I connected with you after the second one, came to me. So, again, going through, 2 revelations, right? Without help. I mean, I don't recommend that for anybody. It was a lot of work. And when you have, resources available, definitely use them. But there's so much more now than there ever was when I went through it. So.
Wow. Kim, as you were talking, there's one phrase that Kim, and I think I'm going to make a t-shirt out of it. As y'all know, I'll make a t-shirt in a minute. And the phrase is normalize the fumble. I think a lot of us parents, we fumble, but we want to fumble. We don't want to fumble, right? We want to feel like we know it already. So there's some of us who, okay, I think there are many classes, but I think there's a group of us who want to almost fake it, right, till we make it. But you gotta go through that fumble, like, unless you somehow just knew right away and didn't assign any gender to your kid. And I have to go back there. So we all assign genders to our kiddos. Mm-hmm. And it's when our child says, well, the gender you assigned to me is incongruent, so that's good, then you win. But if it's not incongruence, which means if it is incongruent, right? Mm-hmm. if it's not congruent with your child's gender identity, you got to learn. And that's what Liz is saying, that learning is key. We've been talking about learning all day today. Learning is the key. For me, I just say unlearn first, because before you build a house, you have to excavate. You got to get all of that out so you can pour a nice foundation.
Yes, absolutely.
Unlearn. Yes.
Oh, I had a lot of excavation. Oh, Kim, you sound like you were like this nice flat piece of property that you were able to build a lovely foundation on. Ask my children. Lots of excavating. I didn't fumble the ball. I didn't even catch the ball. I don't even know if the ball went right over my head. I love it. And I kind of hoped it didn't come back. And then my second child, lovely Olivia, she threw another ball, and I just said, nope, I don't want to see that one either. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Luckily, they just kept throwing the ball my way. And then I fumbled it a few times. And I probably still am. I'm not great with that. But, I want to be better and do better. And I believe that my children know their true self, but we are their parents. So what's really interesting, Kim and Dr. Lulu, I think it's really interesting where we are learning from our kids, but we also want them to learn from our mistakes, which are normal grow up mistakes. Like whether you're trans or cis or just in between, we all make these mistakes. I mean, part of growing up and learning, right? Yeah. So I feel like we're still in that teach me, but oh, by the way, I'm mom and this isn't going to work out well.
Yeah.
Again, it's not about your gender, but it's about, this other thing that you're doing, right?
Everything. I want anybody who can hear, and y'all are getting flowers. There's so many comments coming up. I wanted to leave that one on because I guess I'll just pick Kim or okay, Vickie, so Vickie, go ahead and read this one because I'll let Kim read the next one and then we'll do that because this one is, oh my God.
Yeah.
Liz,
Dr. Rowe, these conversations make me think about how school leaders can become educated and enlightened on this topic and to ultimately become more responsive to gender preferences among youth. That's all we need. We need enlightenment. I truly believe, I'm always looking for the best in everyone. I truly believe that if we can get people to understand and to see it, and maybe if they can meet transgender children and their parents, things would be so much different.
And it's already happening, Vickie. I don't know if you've noticed that. Every single week we've gone live, we've had different sets of moms, dads, parents joining. They are learning.
Yeah.
They are learning. Dr. Rowe is and I thought it was a psychologist, so my apologies, but Dr. Rowe is an educator. This just made her realize, wait, teachers need to learn this, because when you're not at home, your teacher is your child's parent. When they're not at home, your teachers are the kids' parents. Yes. They are the parent figures. If I'm learning, they need to learn too. But what is America doing today? Rather than embracing it.
Yes.
So I'm going to let Kim read the second one, because I have a thought that I wanted to bring up. I'll let Kim read that one.
All right, from Liz. My youngest is autistic and bisexual. I had to learn my kid before I could parent him.
Like,
I love it. Absolutely.
It. Mic drop right there, right? Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Rowe was like, and basically wrote this.
Yes,
what Liz said, right? But this is so powerful. The part where parents need to say, you know what, I don't know. So Kim and Liz, your two questions, and then maybe we need to round up, because these conversations never end. But your two last questions. The first one is, why do you think we have this ideology about parenting that, like, we don't want to learn? I don't know. Is that what I'm saying? Like, why do parents not want to? Why do we think we already know our kids? That's the question I want to ask. Why is there so much resistance to learning our kids? And the message is, hello.
The kid.
Like I said, it's a mom show. There'll be kids coming into the
you never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen. Are you going to say hello to your aunties?
Hello.
Come and say hello to your aunties. Yeah, because you could have gone that way. You could have gone that. You came this way. Come and say hello to your auntie.
No.
I know. While he works his way, while he works his way to the to the stage, even Liz is saying hello. Come, people are saying hello to you, bro. Come say hi. Got your Naruto T-shirt on. This is the baby of the lot. My baller, my shot caller.
Hey, volleyball, yes.
Yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations for your volleyball thing. These are your aunties. They know everything about you. They say thank you. Use the manners that I taught you. Yes. Oh my goodness. So as we round up, so I'm going to start back with Kim. So Kim, why do you think there's this resistance from parents to learn? Why do you think that we want to just assume that we already know anything? Okay, no problem.
So I think the resistance to learn might just come from, generations before you have, or who raised you was, you always heard, because I said so, or, because I'm the parent, that's why. And so you've already put yourself on this pedestal that, we can't all reach. We don't know it all. We act like we do, though, with our kids, because we don't want them to look uneducated or like that we make mistakes, but we do. And I think, teaching your kids from the very beginning that, I'm a grown-up, this is the first time I've ever been the age that I am. So new things come at me every day, and I learn. And you will too. Every single day and every single year you get older, you never stop learning. But yeah, the resistance I think is just I don't know if it's a learned behavior because of that. I mean, it's all I'm just guessing, I don't have any stats to back it up. But, what I do have, right, is going back to my story, I have 4 generations of unconditional love and affirmation, right? My grandmother, my mom, me, and my son, And I know that if, he has kids one day, he's going to teach them the same way. So when you don't think that you can make a difference, you can start somewhere, and you can pass it down generation to generation.
I'm going to point out something. So, the mitochondria is passed down from the mom to the child, to the child, to the child. And I'm going to tell you, I started this off saying I grew up knowing I could do anything. That was from my mom. It was not from my patriarchal father. It was from my mother. My mother taught me that I could do anything I wanted to. And so I feel like that passing that down is so key. But and I'm not, nothing against dads, but it just, in my experience, it came that way for me. And I think that was powerful. But what you said, as you were describing, it made me think of the Wizard of Oz, and it made me think of the Great Oz. And I think as a mom, I didn't want to show my vulnerability, the fear of not knowing and having the curtain pulled away, that you don't have all the answers. It's kind of scary, right?
Yeah. You don't want to scare the kids, but
you want them to feel like you've got this. I've got this. I'm mom. Don't worry. I've got it. And if they think you don't have it, well, the funny part is, by the time they're teenagers, guys, they know that we don't have it, right?
They do. And they'll call you out on it. They will call you out on it.
Yeah. My kids call me out all the time. The baby, don't be fooled. That kid is rogue. Like, Mom, read the room. I'm like, what? My own kid said to me, Mom, read the room. He's like, Mom, read the room. Like, hello? I'm like, my own kid. So, but that is so good that, first of all, that we are able to create a space for them to feel at this point bold enough to tell you that, right? But the truth is, they know more than we do in too many things. And I think it comes down to what we said at the beginning, vulnerability, not at the beginning, somewhere in the middle. You have to be willing to just lay down and just say, I don't know everything, teach me. Because otherwise you're going to be messing up. And then our kids, they don't forget the trauma. I know that today I'm a people pleaser, just discovering it now, because I wanted my mom to affirm me. Oh my God, I never got it. To this day, as an adult, I still, like, when I want to do something, I say, well, what would my mom think? Like, with my mom, I'm freaking 55 my next birthday. But I never got that affirmation I've been craving from my mother. And I don't know if it's a Black thing per se, because I've only been Black my whole life, right? But when just listening to you too.
It's not.
So Liz has some words. Liz says, I think it's passed down for older generations on how to parent. Yeah. We have learned only one way from our parents, and we continue instead of thinking outside the box. Absolutely. Thank you so much for Liz. That was amazing. Yes. And then Abby says, that's the secret, unconditional love. Abby, I don't know if you joined us at the very beginning. Kim gave us the 4 things that she believes are the 4 components of affirming our kids. Unconditional love was the very first one. So you nailed it. And then showing up for the kids, and then supporting the kids, and then learning. And for me, I always use the U² method. For those who know me, my first name is Uchenna, my last name is Ume, both start with the letter U. So I used to go with U² when I was in high school. So I came up with U² method as one of the ways to affirm your kids. The first U is unlearning. The second U is untruths. So unlearning the untruths is how we can now learn. And I think I said that in my TED Talk, the one that Kimmie attended. But yeah, this has been such an amazing conversation. I have one last question for everyone. So if anybody has any questions, please write them down, and we'll try to fill them as we are still on. We've got another 10 minutes. My last question is to both Kim and Vickie. Did either of you ever wonder about you? Like, did you ever wonder about not your gender or anything, but did you ever wonder about, am I making this about me? Because I know I did. And for those of you who know, I have a book coming up called Becoming. The first line is what my kid said, Mom, this is not about you. I was like, oh. My kids keep me in check. So Vickie, Kimmie, whoever wants to go first.
So I will say that when this first came about and I knew nothing about exactly what was going on, I was also in a really difficult time in my life because I was going through a divorce and I had a new job and I was in a new town, and I did not have a really good support system. And two things, I honestly felt like I was carrying around a little sign that go, oh, by the way, you know, one of my kids is trans. Like I felt like I needed to tell someone, hi, my name is Vickie. My oldest child is trans. Is that okay? I mean, it was like dumb, you know, I mean, Grace doesn't know that, you know, at some point it's like I was trying to develop this identity. I was trying to have a new identity because I had moved to a new town. I had a new job and I was creating a new life for myself and my children. So I was trying to have a new identity, and my child was able to be their true self. So there they were being their true self, and I was confused. And part of my new identity was I'm a mom of a trans kid, but I don't even understand what that is. So it was a lot about me. Like it was so weird that so I don't know about you, Kim. I spent a lot of time grappling with that.
But you know the funny thing though, Vickie, even before Kim comes back, this is why we must hold space for parents of queer kids. It's a whole different ball game. And I say queer because I was that kid. While I'm not gender diverse, I was the queer kid. And I know that my parents didn't know. They spoke totally from ignorance. They didn't know what they didn't know. And this is why it is so important that the state of Texas doesn't come for parents. A lot of us are blindsided. We're just like, what just happened here? Like, what do you mean? Just as much as you are. And so being able to create and garner and, educate and all these things, support for parents is so critical because many of us are falling apart. Vickie, that is so amazing that you were walking around with a sign, because I still do walk around like thinking that everybody's thinking like there's a smell of.
I left that job. I left that job after 1 year because I carried around my sign, like, help me. I got like nothing. And this is absolutely true. As I sit here, it's like a God thing or a spirit thing the next place I landed was when initially my child was gender fluid and then trans. And then I was in the midst of it all when I moved to a new job. And the greatest thing, I had these older men that I was working with, and they had no idea. Like one of them understood because he went to a very welcome and affirming church. He understood it. This other old doctor, the coolest thing, this is the coolest story. His daughter had been a heroin addict in high school and was attending the same high school my daughter was attending, coming out as trans. And he's telling me these stories. Well, when my kid went to that high school, she was on heroin. And I was like, holy crap, this is a whole lot better than that. But he told these stories about unconditional love and being a tough parent. And his daughter, I'm not kidding, she was alive, well, flourishing, a lawyer, married with children. And there was something about hearing that he went through that and she was fine and they were fine that made me be like, well, parenting is hard. It is hard. And if I had not had those two men working with me, that was like it. Like that was the only support I had in the workplace. I actually had a boss that was non-affirming to all LGBTQ individuals. And that was kind of scary. So I just wanted to throw that out there and say that your workplace is so important when you're going through this. I don't know what you experienced, Kim.
I even before Kim comes in, I'm going to tell you now, right now, I'm going to definitely go and take that piece of this video that you just spoke, because it's so important that other people see. This is what I'm talking about. Like parents of queer kids, if we feel supported, our kids will get the ripple effect. Kim has a direct opposite, because we did a show about this, by the way. But Kim, go ahead and oh my God, Kim, go ahead and share, because what you just said, help me, I've got nothing. I wrote that quote down, Vickie. That was so powerful. Help me, I've got nothing. Nothing. Kim, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, making it about me there's certainly that, right out of the gate, like, how am I going to explain this to my mom? How am I going to explain this to, my friends? How am I, what are they going to think? And immediately, I think that, we all are very self-gratifying in a way. We want, but what about me? We just have that, our ego doesn't let us not think that way out of survival. Right. And it was weird. I always wondered, like, I think I might have even asked Matt, how do I introduce you? Do I say this is my transgender son, or do I say my son? Like, I had to ask that question. I don't
We're
know.
normalizing that piece. Ooh, Kimmie, that's too powerful.
I didn't know. Like, and so he's like, well, thank you for asking. And that's, and he's like, my son is fine. And I'm like, okay, it was hard. It was, you had to get used to it, to top it all off, I've got my sons, but the amount of makeup they wear is more than I do sometimes, so they just don't follow gender norms at all. Not at all. And it's okay with me. And now that I've lived with it for so long, it's very normal, right? It's normal to me. But every once in a while, when we go out in public, I'm like, I look and I'm watching other people, because, I'm mama bear, right?
Yes.
I'm scoping out the room and going, I think these people would probably be okay. These ones are a little shady over here. And, so you're constantly on guard as a parent, going out with, your kids, and especially when they're young. You don't want anybody saying anything that's going to jeopardize their mental state. Yes. And it's so important. But, and it's easy to misgender too, when you're, like when I say this is my son and they're wearing makeup, and then, people say she, and so, there's some of it you're just not going to get away from. You're just not going to get away from it. But I don't know. I've learned to just kind of just walk through. I still watch the room. I still take note of, where we're at and our surroundings, and that'll never change.
Yeah.
But, making it about me, it's more like, I want to just be there if to get in the way, if a comment is made, or it's sad that you got to think that way, but
I think
when I go pick up my kids and they look a certain way, I'm like, well, here we go. Like, they're gonna get noticed. I mean, first of all, my kids are gorgeous. They look like rock stars. So
yes, that your younger child. Ooh.
They want to be noticed. That's the crazy thing. And I've even got into my middle child, who is non-conforming and non-binary and very dramatic and glamorous and can be gender bending any way they want. And you just never know. And it's amazing and wants to be noticed. So
exactly, that's the thing. My kid wants to be noticed. Like,
how brave is that?
How brave is that?
How brave is that?
I'm not hiding anything. I am, because I don't know if I share. I know I share with Kimmie when she went to Florida. I was like, "You're going to Florida?" She's like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm going to go to Florida." She's like, "I'm going to Florida. It is what it is. I'm going to Florida." And we're talking about someone who's not even trying to. Oh, the outfits. I'm like, Lord Jesus. But this is the generational bit. This is the generational bit, because this next generation, they're just so free to be themselves. And look at what Liz said. And ladies, it's 7:00. Every good thing has to come to an end. I'm going to let Kimmie read what Liz said, and then there's so many more comments. But go ahead, Kim.
All right, my friend Liz again. She says, I experimented as a teen. My friends are mixed of different identity genders. So when my kids told me, I was like, okay, cool. My youngest has a lot of trans friends, pan and gay friends. Most come here for love, dinner, family nights, holidays, because they know they can be themselves and loved.
That's why I wanted Kim to read that because I don't know if Liz heard you when you said that exactly the same thing about your
Yes.
house. You
Yes.
know, I love that. And then of course, Liz also says, yes, Mama Bear, even if they're not your own kids.
Well,
absolutely.
especially sometimes because they may not have that at home. So yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Vickie, I'm going to let you read this one, and then we'll have to wrap up. Every good thing comes to an end. I love this show so much. All right, Vickie.
Liz says, my oldest is a flamboyant makeup, nails, clothes, gay male, more glamorous than me.
Yep. Yep. Same.
Oh my
Kids are
God.
all more glamorous than me.
Same. I got 2 of them, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I took them out for dinner for Matt's birthday. And we went out to the Ann Arbor area. And just sitting, like I said, just sitting there. We got sushi. We're at this restaurant. We're at this high top table right in the center of the restaurant, and I'm just looking around. And you know what? Honestly, not a lot of people were paying attention. So I think that if parents are watching, just know that you're more aware than probably most of the people in the room. I mean, nobody really cares that much about you, honestly. It's an ego thing. It's an ego thing for us.
Yeah. Woo.
Who cares about? I mean, I look at people and I don't care about them. I mean, I wish the best for them, but I don't like go, wow, that's, I don't know. I don't know. It's very, it's just so judgy.
I think I'm going to round up. Liz has one more thing to say. My oldest and I go to Bath and Body Works. Yeah,
Nice.
all right, together. So amazing, ladies. I knew this show was going to be good, but nothing could have prepared me for how good it was.
Oh, look at my
How are you feeling?
Wait, wait, one more thing. My children, we took my kids to Florida. No lie. I had never taken them on vacation to what's the big park in Florida? Orlando.
Disney.
No, it's the other one. The Universal.
Oh.
And I was terrified because my child is trans and all this, and we're going to Florida. I bought this there. We the people means everyone. And I love it. Everyone was so supportive. So obviously, I was like, Mom worried for nothing. I was like, we're going to cancel our vacation. They're like, no, we're not. And we the people means everyone. So I got this in Florida. So
nice. I love it. I love that shirt.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. You just dropped a nice phrase, mom worry. I think we're going to have to see if we can tackle that next. Not next week per se, but somewhere along the line, because that is a thing. Which is why we need people to not be coming for us. We are just as concerned. Like we really, y'all need to back off. And this is why we come at you, because Kim can't eat her dinner of sushi because she's like, oh,
yes, yes. We're like looking.
And it's sad because I've taught my kids too. And I've said it as they're walking out the door. Keep your head on a swivel. Like, just
Exactly.
Watch your back.
But you know what, Kim? They're probably like, oh, I'm so glad we're not out with Mom, because Mom would just be looking. And I have to try to relax. I have to try to relax. I mean, but we're going to talk about it someday. Mom worry. I put a circle over it. So
Mom worry.
Yes. So today I was joined by Kim and Vickie, and those of you who watch it, if you're watching on the replay, hopefully you will laugh sometimes, because that is the whole idea. We're not all crying. But also in all of that humor, there's seriousness. People are getting killed. So that's not passing me that someone can just walk up to my kid and say, I don't like you and I'm just going to kill you. So it's not funny, but there's humor, because we're human beings, and human beings have ups and downs. There's humor and then there's no humor. So today we talked about affirmation, and I don't know how we got here, sushi bar, but hey, it was affirmation. It was affirming. Kim's trans son, or rather eldest son, who happens to be trans, let me use her words, had a birthday a couple of weeks ago, and so they went sushi, because that's what parents do with their kids. We talked about affirming households and how unconditional love and showing up and supporting and learning is critical for things you need. And just having an affirming home to begin with, how that can have a ripple effect so that we're not just focusing on the negative, negative, negative. We talked about vulnerability being a big thing for parents. Yeah, I think I'm still trying to figure out if I should just do that parenting with vulnerability as that TED talk, because I have one that was titled Parenting with Vulnerability that I changed it to Let the Children Lead. We talked about struggling with learning. Like it's actually a process for us, right? And how our kids are teaching us, and so because they're teaching us, we have to learn. Vickie, you mentioned this, and I was going to come back to it, but I forgot. How as physicians we have been kind of trained to just teach, and then we forget that wait, we need to learn. So we need to come back to that someday, okay? And then and I think that's about it. We talked about normalizing the fumble. Like as a parent, just lean in to the fact that you're not going to know everything and it's okay. And this whole idea of we know it all, we're trying to put a sock in that and then no more. We don't know it all. Our kids are here to teach us and we're here to learn. I think somebody said something about because I said so. Yeah, that was kind of parents in the past. Because I said so.
Yep.
Okay, Mom, why is the sky blue? Because blue.
That
and one of my
I don't know answer.
Right? Yeah, just say I don't know. Just say because that's a good one. Just say I don't know. Don't say because I said so. That's a nice rhyme too. Vickie said, "Help me, I've got nothing." That was, I think, one of the more profound quotes from today.
I felt that.
And then
Vickie, I felt that.
Said, I had to ask my son how to introduce him. Another very profound quote from today. Whew. And I'm going to add, because I said so, or rather, just say I don't know, rather than saying because I said so. I'm already going to tweet that. So ladies, oh my God, this was amazing. Thank you so much for joining. It was so good.
Thank you.
Kimmie, any going away words? Because we never say last words here. Just any going away words. And then Vickie, and then we're out.
So I guess I have a challenge for any parents that are watching, because, at the beginning of the show, I talked about what an impact we've been able to have on my family just by passing down this affirmation and unconditional love generation to generation to generation. But if it starts with you and it passes down to your kids, I mean, we can change the world. So I just would ask that, start looking into things, change that mindset to be affirming of your children, listen to them, trust them. They know what they're talking about. And tell one other person to do the same thing. We can do this. We just got to spread the word.
The done deal. What about you, Vickie?
Yeah, it's hard to follow that because that's perfect. I think the other thing is that not everyone is ready to hear what they need to learn, but it's important to tell that person, I'm here when you're ready. Please let me know. Because it took me a bit of mourning and grief to be truly ready, to really, really hear what I needed to know. And I had to process that. Everyone processes things in their own way. And I needed to step back and kind of process it and then learn. And I think that when people try to put too much in your face, and you can tell when you're telling someone something and it's more than they can handle, I think it's important for us to back off and say, I'm here. Tell me when you're ready. And that's probably what I needed to hear from some of the best guides I could have had, because they came on so strong very early. I couldn't hear it. And I missed an opportunity at that point. If they had just been a little bit, come back to me when you're ready. And some people may not get ready, but I feel like sometimes you just need a little breather, let me go home and let me think about this. I'll come back to you.
Yeah. I love that. I think I already put a circle. I put a circle on all the future topics. I put a circle on that because I think I want us to revisit the duration. I think that for me, everybody needs to take the time. The duration is where I want us to talk about, because some kids are waiting and then they find a Mama Kimmie and they're gone. Some kids are waiting, like my kid and their ex-dad, and he never comes around. So I think That's a good topic for sometime in the future. But ladies, this has been amazing as always. Kim meets Vickie, Vickie meets Kim. Thank you so much to Liz for all the amazing things that you added to the conversation. Thank you to Abby. Thank you to Dr. Rowe. Thank you to everyone who will watch this in the future. We are going to be uploading. This is our 6th episode, so we're finally going to upload them up to Apple. So very soon, I'm going to be telling y'all you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, because that was my dream. My plan was to do the first 5 episodes, and then we can, I think this is the 5th one. Last week was going to be 5. This is the 6th week, but it's 5th episode. So we can upload them to Apple. So I wanted to have 5 at least, so people can binge listen. And then so you don't just listen to one and be like, oh, we don't get another one till next week. No, this way you can get 5 episodes. You can listen to them. And if you have anyone that you think could come on the show, if you have any ideas for the show, I'm open. I'm not going anywhere indefinitely. This show is going to stay forever. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure.
Thank
Kimmie,
you.
I love you. Te amo mucho. Vickie. Moms for Trans Kids podcast. We are out. Bye.
Bye.